Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate in on a discussion like Rick and Pretty Girl's mom and Cindy and Carrie and Tennis Yoga Girl here, you can join me most weekdays where I go live around 4 p.m. Central Time. Or outside of my YouTube live stream, you could consider joining the Discord I created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also, if you are interested in getting some ideas of the meals that our family enjoys or that we've been enjoying, me and Carrie on our whole food plant-based diet, there is a Pinterest board. There's a link to a Pinterest board down below that has a lot of those recipes in there. Today is day 769 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 230 pounds so far. I have just over 10 months to go on my challenge, or 10 and a half months left to go on my challenge. I'm very excited about getting down to my goal weight and living the rest of my life at an actual healthy weight. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you're struggling with your diet, what's causing your struggles? You know, what are you struggling with? If you're succeeding with your diet, what are you doing that's so successful? Let us know. And at the end of the day, I feel like one of the most important things is what are you doing what are the things that you are going to do or that you are currently doing that makes staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go ahead and switch over to I forgot I got to hide this here. There we go. Hope everybody had a great evening. Last night, hung out. I'm trying to think of what we even had for dinner. Let me see if I took photos. Oh, we had salad for dinner last night. Yes, we talked about that a little bit before I left for the day yesterday. Was that Carrie was thinking about making salad for dinner and then taking some mushrooms and marinating them and putting them in the salad here. So let me work on pulling this up. Amy says hi Amy. Plants Only Muncher, hello. Cindy says that you've lost 2 pounds this week and you're stoked. That's awesome, Cindy. I'm really happy to hear that you had a nice 2-pound loss this week, and that's really great to have it's to see a loss, you know, like, and especially to see a solid loss, you know, like when you lose 0.2 of a pound, it's one thing, but to see a 2-pound weight loss, that's awesome. So congratulations on that. We're going to go ahead and try to start showing. I only took a couple food photos here. Food was pretty simple. And let's see, photo album. There we go. So this is the salad here. This is kind of the whole salad. I think this was, both me and Carrie's portions of salad in the large mixing bowl. I then mixed that up. We split it kind of in half, and then we threw a bunch of mushrooms on top of it there. So there was an abundance of mushrooms on it, and it was amazing and delicious. There's the photo of the mushrooms. I did not take a photo of the oatmeal this morning, but it's kind of the same oatmeal that we have every morning. So if you've seen any photos of my oatmeal, it's about the same. And then for lunch today, I had broccoli and potatoes. Surprise, surprise. So that was the food in the past 24 hours. Something that I mentioned a little bit yesterday that I've noticed that might be helping with my weight loss is that I have really been reducing the amount of snacking that I do late in the day. Last night I continued to do that, or I continued to be able to um, stay away from the food. Cindy here asks, what are my thoughts on timed interval eating, such as fasting 16 hours and having an 8-hour eating window? Personally, you follow this daily. Rick says that he also does an intermittent fasting or an interval eating. And it's kind of something that I'm referencing now, I guess, with the stopping the snacking after dinner. And there's a lot of people that made a comment of that they, once dinner's done, the kitchen is closed. And that is kind of a form of intermittent fasting. They might not necessarily say exactly 16 hours, but if they, Carrie says, so if you stop eating at 7 p.m. and then you don't eat again until 8 in the morning, that's 13 hours of fasting and then an 11-hour eating window kind of thing. And so that is very popular. I believe that it works well. I do. It's one of the recommendations that I used to give on my channel a lot was that, sometimes maybe you need to put kind of, I would call them bookends on your diet. You would say, okay, I'm not going to eat before 8 a.m. I'm not going to eat after 6 p.m. and kind of have that eating window. A lot of things have pointed that is beneficial. And what I'm noticing by not eating a lot at night is that's helping me too. So I think it's great that you're doing intermittent fasting. And I believe that it probably will benefit the weight loss over not doing intermittent fasting, and it's hard to know if, I'm sure there's studies, or they could do studies, that if you take the same amount of food and somebody eats from the time they get up and they spread that to the time they go to bed versus somebody who doesn't eat until 8 a.m. and then stops at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. But if they eat the same amount of food, I'm not sure that the person doing the intermittent fasting is going to lose faster or at the same rate as somebody who doesn't have that fasting or that window. But by having that window, that limits your calorie intake, and so you're not eating those last 2 hours of the day where that would be the bonus calories that you don't necessarily need. So I think it's great. A 16-hour window is a great amount of time to eat, or I'm sorry, 16-hour fasting and having an 8-hour eating window. You can eat a lot of food within an 8-hour window. And as long as it's healthy food that's low in fat and low in calorie, it's going to just all add up to success. And that's really what, you find. Now, if something happens where you don't get to eat within that window one day, that it happens, but yeah, it sounds like a great plan to do that. Rick says you can gain a lot of weight in an 8-hour window. Yes. Yeah. Just because you're limiting when you eat doesn't mean you're going to lose weight. You do need to make sure that the content of what you eat is appropriate for your weight loss or your hope for weight loss. The one topic that I was going to talk about today was about getting started and about procrastinating. And why do we allow ourselves to procrastinate getting started? And there's a lot to it. I'm sure there's many, many reasons why, but one of the thoughts that I had last night was about how when you are indulging in a horrible diet, or when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, you fantasize about not doing it. You fantasize about the time when I am skinny. I'm going to go on a diet. And then you don't fantasize about the diet. You don't fantasize about the day-to-day grind of what it's going to be to lose that weight. You fantasize about the success of weight loss. And our minds are incredible things. And one of the things that your mind can do is it can imagine and it can place you in a spot where you're not at. And when you do that, your body doesn't always or can't always tell the difference between reality and imagination. So, an example I've given in the past to other people is when you're arguing with somebody or you're mad at somebody and you have an interaction with that person and it's a negative interaction and you get mad at them and then you both go your separate ways for the rest of the day. That whole day, you are imagining that conversation that you had, you're imagining the conversation you're going to have. And while you're imagining that conversation, if you're imagining having an aggressive, mean, or nasty conversation, your body has a hard time distinguishing between the reality and the imagination. And so you do start to release some of those chemicals as though it was a real thing. If you are thinking about something that's going to make you anxious, your body starts to release the chemicals that it needs to release for when that situation actually happens. And we do the same thing with pleasure. It's not just in a negative situation, but we do it with pleasure. When somebody goes and they buy a lottery ticket, they think about the victory of winning the lottery. They don't think about how many times they're going to have to go and buy a lottery ticket and how many years it's going to take before they actually win the lottery. They just imagine the winning the lottery. We do the same thing with the diet. We just imagine that healthier version of ourselves. And some people can remember a healthier version of themselves. Or like for me, everybody, they talk about going back to the glory days of when you were younger, and when I would think about a healthier me, I would imagine things that the healthier me used to do 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. And by having that imagination of it happening, I get to release some dopamine. I get these chemical releases of the success that the way I feel now, my body is releasing chemicals that make me feel happy about the way I am right now, where I'm at, the fact that I've lost 230 pounds. When I was 520 pounds, I imagined being 285 pounds. And when I imagined being 285 pounds, it didn't feel as good as I feel now, but compared to the way I was feeling then, it was far better. I was imagining I was in a better spot than I'm at currently. And I think that's why we keep procrastinating, because the idea of the success is far easier and gives us a sense of satisfaction without having to do the work. And it's really easy to, something I think that a lot of us do is that we have these conversations with ourselves right after we indulged. You just went to the fast food restaurant. You just got the value meal or whatever you bought. You just ate it. You just had 5,000 calories worth of food. And you're sitting there thinking, all right, I'm going to start my diet now. Now I'm going to start it. And it's so easy because you just indulged. You just gave in to that craving. So you're as far away from the craving coming up again as possible. So it's really easy to imagine that you're not going to have this craving. But fast forward one day or even an hour later, and the craving comes back in, and you spent that whole hour imagining that you were a healthier weight, you were succeeding with your diet. So you lived in that joy world after you had this high dopamine stimulating food. Then you imagine that you're doing better and you're being a better person. And then the cravings creep in and you indulge again. And it's just a cycle that keeps happening because the imagination of the success is more enjoyable than the reality of the process. Um, and like that's what keeps you from actually starting the diet, is you start imagining how difficult the diet is, and it's easier to just give up than it is to actually do the work to lose the weight. But you're just imagining how hard that work is, and you're not actually doing the work. So maybe it's not as hard as you think. Like, this diet for me has not been as hard as I thought it was going to be. I thought that I would be struggling every day, because every diet that I've had in the past, after I got into it for 2 or 3 months, every day became a struggle. And that's not been the case for me here. Cindy here says that you think most people procrastinate because they think of what they have to give up instead of focusing on what they will gain. Yes, you think of that, the time you have to give up, and you start thinking of all the negative parts of the diet, and you weigh that against the satisfaction you get from giving in. And of course, the satisfaction of giving in is better than the actual grind of doing it. And so they don't even try. But again, with this diet, it's not been all roses the whole time, but it's been easier than any other diet I've ever done by far. And I'm 286.2. I'm lighter than that today. That was 2 days ago. I'm feeling great about where my weight's going. But the moment I'm under 285 pounds, I'm lighter than I've been since the day I turned 18, because my birthday's late in the school year. So I can remember that, or it's mid-year, and I can remember that, so I didn't turn 18 till towards the end of my senior years. What I'm getting at, I know that when I wrestled as a senior in high school, the highest weight that I was 275, because that's the max that I could be. And then fast forward 4 months or so after I got done wrestling, I go to check in to play football at the college I went to, and I'm 320, 330 pounds. So within 4 or 5 months, I gained 50 pounds. I didn't get on the scale after March, from March until I went and checked in. But on my birthday, that means I was probably at or above 300 pounds. I was definitely heavier than I am today. And the fact that I'm there is amazing. It's something where I'm almost like, I'm no longer ashamed for people to see me, to people to meet me. Like, if somebody met me for the first time today, they would only know me as somebody who's this heavy or lighter. They won't ever have known me as that 500-pound person. And everybody that I met from the time I graduated high school up until now, there's been a little bit of shame to meet them. Like, what does this person think about me? Like, what does somebody, random person that I'm just meeting, think of a 400-pound person the first time they meet him? Sometimes maybe it's the first time they've ever met somebody that was ever over 500 pounds. And that always was in my head, like, and I try, you drown it out or you ignore it and you're good at coping with it. But when you are grossly overweight like that, there is always in the back of your head, what do they really think about me? What are they really saying about me behind my back? And it might be great things. It might be that John's a wonderful person. It's just too bad that he might die early because he's fat, or it might be, hey, look at that. I can't believe how fat that guy is. He's got to be the laziest, worst person in the world. But those are tricks your mind plays on you. Again, that's the imagination that isn't really reality. You don't know what reality is, but it kept me from being happy in my own body, really. And now I'm getting to a point where I'm extremely happy with how I am. For me to be lighter than I was the day I graduated high school, I could probably stand next to a lot of my classmates, and not many of them would be able to say that they're lighter than they were when they graduated high school. Now, granted, they weren't 290 pounds or 300 pounds when they graduated high school. And so it's, it's a little bit easier for me, I suppose, because I have the weight to lose, but still it's incredible to be in the position that I'm at now. And I feel like every pound, every ounce that I lose from here going forward is true. I mean, and not that the pounds so far haven't been truly been earned, but that it's, it's been 20 years in the making for me to be this weight. And all of the stuff I went through to get to this point, and it's just crazy to be in this position. And in the, I'm in that spot that people are imagining that they get to. I'm in that spot that I was imagining when I started this challenge. I'm there now, and I'm feeling that joy, and it's so much better than the joy I imagined before I started. Like, I thought it was going to be great, but now that I'm here, it's incredible. The fact that I can eat 5 potatoes and a half bag of broccoli today, and eat oatmeal this morning and still be on the scale and still see it going the direction that I want it to go, and not feel guilty about anything that I put in my mouth, and not feel concerned that anything that I'm eating is going to contribute to a negative health consequence in the future. I didn't give my diet enough credit for how bad, it was for me. I never thought I was eating a good diet, but I see so many people that are suffering from health consequences because we live a diet of excess. We live in a world of excess, and we eat a diet of excess. We eat an excessive amount of calories. We eat an excessive amount of food that is not made for human consumption, or that it's so processed that the volume of eating that processed food dumps so many more of a certain chemical or a certain nutrient into your body that it wouldn't naturally receive without the processing. So then your body has to sit there and go, how do we process the oil of 2,000 olives in one sitting? Like, if you eat oils and these fats, they are they're extracted from the whole food. And to get that equivalent of oil, you would have had to have eaten 2,000 olives, and it would be impossible to eat that many, or even if it was 50 olives, it's impossible to eat 50 olives. But the oil that you get from 50 olives isn't a lot of oil. It's very easy to consume, and it's great for your taste buds. It's great for that dopamine response part of your body. But then it gets in your stomach, and your stomach has got to figure out how to use all of that oil. And it a lot of times stores it because we're eating a diet of excess. So then we are storing the stuff in our body that is unnecessary. And this diet really gets rid of the excess from your diet. The only thing I have an excess of right now in my diet is fiber. And there's not really been anything I've seen that says that I should be worried about eating too much fiber. But the overall feeling that I'm at right now is amazing. And I wish I could put that feeling in everybody who's continuing to procrastinate, everybody who's continuing to push their start date to Monday. Today's Friday. It's so easy to be like, okay, I'm going to get through this weekend. I'm going to start Monday, but you have to stop procrastinating. You have to start your diet now, because it's not going to, that cycle doesn't change. The cycle that you're in is going to continue to be that same cycle till you break that cycle. And you can't break that cycle by waiting till Monday, because that's the same cycle that you do. You wait till that day, you wait till that day. You got to break it and you got to make that change. And if you want to see big changes, like I know many people out there want to see, then you have to make the big changes. You can't passively lose weight. You know, that's something that I feel like I tried to do so hard, and what kind of led me to the fasting route was I just want to lose weight without having to put any work into it. I just want it to be effortless. And so that's where the fasting kind of, I think that played in on this whole process that I've done. And then but in reality, that continuing to try to find the least energy consuming, the least comfort zone disrupting diet is, led me to get to being 520 pounds. So the overall, it's really something that the mind is incredible, and it can do incredible things, but it can also do horrible things for us. And we also have, not only do we have the ability to imagine being in a better spot ourselves, but because we are so good at communicating and we live in this world of amazing communication with things like YouTube, that sometimes we're allowed to live vicariously, or we're able to live vicariously through the people we see succeeding as well. And we sit there and watch these people doing what we don't have the willpower to do. And just in watching them do that, it causes that imagination. It causes those same chemical releases, those same chemical responses. And so it's important to realize that your mind is playing tricks on you. Your mind is really just looking for that stimulation, that dopamine hit, and imagining that you succeeded is as good a dopamine hit as anything at the time, when you're in that stage, because a lot of times that imagined moment is better than the reality. You're just escaping the reality and trying to avoid the work. Tennyson Yoga Girl here says that you're so inspiring to anyone that stumbles across your YouTube page. Keep up the good work. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody. And I hope that people get inspired. Like that was the goal when I started this, was to find a way to lose weight and then inspire other people to lose weight. And once I get to my goal, I'm very excited about the difference. And there was some comments before I got live here. The thumbnail from here is on this video is like me on day one, and just the difference in my face is amazing between now, where I was on November 1st, 2020 to where I'm at now. And I'm really excited about the difference between November 1st, 2020 and October 31st, 2023, because when I'm at my goal weight, it's to me, I feel like it's going to be much harder for the people who are ignoring me in my life to continue to ignore me when I'm actually at a healthy weight, or the people that, don't want to think it's, I think that people, they don't want to do this diet. Nobody wants to pick up this diet because they think of all the things that they're going to have to give up. So I think that there are people out there that probably want to see me fail at the diet so that they can kind of have that, see that's not possible that way kind of thing. And for me, I just want to shut that down and be like, that is possible. This is how it's possible. And it, I want somebody else to show me a different way that it's possible at this point, because, for me, I've tried so many different ways and, they didn't work. So there's something that's just right about this diet for me. And it makes me happy, and I think that is something that for me, what makes this diet just right is that my body judges my satisfaction based on volume. And I think that's really how everybody's is. But my volume of food is probably higher than most people's volume of food. Or, maybe I've trained my body to need more food or want more food. And it, but this diet, the calorie density, the volume eating, that is what is the key for me. And I hope that other people can see that it's possible. Cindy here says that they've yo-yo dieted for years until you started eating an exclusive whole food plant-based lifestyle. Yes, it's I'm so just years and years and years, like if I'd have known any of this stuff coming out of high school, if they'd have taught us anything about calorie density and about being able to eat more food, and stay the same weight or not gain weight or gain weight slower, I would have loved to have that information and how it would have changed my life if I'd have known that when I was 18. But now that I've done this diet, I'm stuck on it and I'm not getting off of it. Ichigo says that you were 360 pounds in May of 2021. You went whole food plant-based, and now you are down to 298 pounds. That's awesome. It's 62 pounds that you've lost in the last year and a half. And that's amazing. And that's something that I really want to get out there too, is that it's not a speed process. 68 pounds in a year and a half is a great rate to lose weight. And if you continue to eat the way you're eating, I imagine that you will get to that goal weight. It's something that I don't know how to perfectly, describe it, but I've always known that I needed to figure out how to eat like my goal weight version of myself had to eat. I spent 20 years going from eating the diet of somebody who was 600 pounds and gaining weight day after day to the diet of somebody who was 90 pounds and losing ridiculous amounts of weight. But I never had sustained loss for more than a few months, or even if it did last a little bit longer, it was never sustainable. Let's see here. Barb says that she loves hearing about the successes. It's very motivated. Yes, I love hearing about your guys' successes too, because it motivates me. I really love hearing about people that are eating a plant-based diet and losing weight. I love sharing that I'm eating a plant-based diet and losing weight, because I think that it's really a much better program than a lot of the programs that are getting really popular out there. And Ichigo says that they could not walk at 360 pounds. Their legs and your back hurt, and now you can walk Costco and a longer distance. Yes, I was the same way, and I could walk, but I would choose to walk as little as possible, and I would get exhausted and my heart rate would skyrocket. And now I have no concerns about parking in the back of the parking lot. I'm trying to think of where I was the other day. It might have been a Walmart trip or something. And I have a very large pickup truck that I drive from work. And so it's not easy to park up towards the front of the store anyways. So I find myself parking on the far end of the lot and not even thinking about it, not having any concern about it, and feeling so happy that I can get around. And the uh I I don't know. I just it's really um amazing to have such a big change happen in my life, and to be that physically different, and to be able to be um to do so much more with my mobility. My flexibility is incredible, like being able to touch my toes. I do things that I never thought would be possible again. One of the things, like crossing my legs. I don't know, more times than I ever thought would happen, I guess. When I cross my legs, I think about how I wasn't able to do this before, and now I'm sitting with my legs crossed, uh and like being able to like bend over and touch my toes, or like being seated like this. If I wanted to bend flat, I almost feel like I could bend my body so that the hip is as like as much of a C as possible, like the leg, the back to the hip. Like my gut always got in the way. Like my stomach was the barrier between me and my lower half of my body. If I needed to deal with my shoes, or if I needed to deal with the bathroom stuff, my gut was always in the way. Rick here says that he can walk the 7-Eleven. So Ichigo can walk the Costco. Rick can walk the 7-Eleven. That's great. But yeah, no, I love hearing your guys' successes. I think that more people need to know about the successes. Ichigo says that no pain, used the store pickup to get food. Now you can walk in the store and physically buy your own stuff. Me and Chef AJ and other whole food plant-based folks are your support system. That's awesome to hear. And I'm really glad that you are you're that I'm helping you in some way. Like that's something that is it's kind of the side part of this whole challenge. Like the focus is me, and it's me losing weight, but I also want to show a blueprint on how to do it, because so many people succeed and then they start talking about their success, and they may not do it intentionally, but it's hard for them to express all of the difficulties they had, especially when they want to see you succeed. So if I've lost 230 pounds. If somebody who was overweight, a friend of mine, came to me and asked me about losing weight, I would tell them all of the great things about my diet, all of the wonderful things, because I would want them to also adopt this diet so that they could be feeling or succeeding like I'm succeeding. But it's not always sunshine and rainbows the whole time, and maybe for somebody it can be. If you can have that dedication, you can stick to it from the start and ride it out all the way to the end. That's amazing. And I wish that I would have been able to do that. As far as the challenge goes, that's one of my regrets, is that slowing down of the process. But I also realized that I learned so much because of my second year and the fact that my weight loss progress slowed down. And I wouldn't give up any of that knowledge that I gained over the second year for any more weight loss, because learning what I learned in the second year of this challenge is what is going to help me to do it right for the rest of my life. And so that's great. So but I am going to get out of here because it is the weekend, and I'm sure you guys all have fun stuff to do this weekend that you want to get going to. But it's been a great week, and I'm really happy to be at the weight I'm at. I'm hoping that I come back next week and we see another loss again. I kind of have this little bit of a pattern of doing a nice, few pound weight loss, and then a week or 2 or 3 weeks kind of hovering and then losing a big amount of weight again. So we'll see how things are going next week, and we'll get on the scale. But everybody, I hope you have a great weekend. If you have not hit that subscribe button on the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you've not clicked on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live and post new videos, go ahead and click on that. If you've not liked this video, like the video. It's definitely helps. It makes a difference on this YouTube algorithm stuff. Like the video, leave a comment down below. Let me know how things are going for you. What are you going to do this weekend that is going to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up this weekend that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. If you started your diet today, you would be on your diet for 2 weeks before Christmas Eve. And just imagine that motivation, that momentum that you could have going when you hit Christmas Eve if you started your diet today. You could be 14, 15 days into your diet. And when you get faced with those temptations, when you get faced with that challenge, you'll have that momentum to build off of. You'll be able to tell those people offering you these treats, well, I'm doing a thing and it seems to be working for me. So I don't need, I don't want to screw that up because I want to change where I'm at. I want to change my position. And most people that love you will understand, especially if you were like me and you were 519 pounds or you're grossly overweight. Anybody who loves you will want to see you succeed at weight loss. So let them know that you're trying something and that it seems to be working. But get started now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Nobody wishes they would have waited. Everybody who reaches their goals looks back and wishes they would have started sooner, me included. You guys all have a great day.